Envision, at this exceptionally minute, you have the control to convert your life's most prominent challenges into significant triumphs. How, you might inquire? Nowadays, we dig profound into the heart of Stoicism, an old logic that has engaged people to flourish in difficulty and discover tranquility in the midst of chaos for centuries. Reflect on the final time you confronted a circumstance that tried your tolerance or shook your certainty. How did you react? Were you a detainee to your prompt responses, or did you select a response that reflected your deeper values and feelings? This can be where Stoicism exceeds expectations, directing us to reply to life's challenges with boldness, shrewdness, and serenity. Nowadays, we investigate a significant concept established in ancient shrewdness, however strikingly pertinent in our cutting-edge world: the craftsmanship of preparing your intellect to reply, not react. This concept goes past just controlling your temper or keeping your cool in challenging circumstances. It's around developing a deep-seated sense of mindfulness and establishing within the display minute, permitting you to explore life's ups and downs with beauty and purposeful. The Stoics, antiquated logicians known for their common-sense approach to life, accepted that, whereas we might not control the occasions that happen to us, we do control how we interpret and react to these occasions. Stoicism educates us to center on what's inside our control, empowering separation from outside circumstances and tying down in our contemplated choices. This stolid shrewdness rouses us to stop, reflect, and select a contemplated and think course of activity instead of acting incautiously. But why is this vital? Think approximately how much of our stretch, lament, and dissatisfaction stems from knee-jerk responses to what individuals say or do. Now imagine if you may remain calm, centered, and astute indeed when the world around you is chaotic. This isn't around progressing your piece of intellect. It's almost getting to be a more compelling, compassionate, and resilient person. Qualities that can change not as it were your life, but to the lives of those around you. In our discussion nowadays, we'll investigate different methodologies from both advanced brain research and stolid reasoning to assist you create this responsive attitude. We'll see at how to develop mindfulness, the significance of distinguishing and communicating your feelings usefully, and how to keep the greater picture in mind. A point of view that the Stoics exceeded expectations at. By the conclusion of this dialogue, you'll have a toolkit of procedures to assist you delay, evaluate, and respond astutely to anything life tosses your way. Let's set out on this travel together, learning to grapple ourselves within the intelligence of Stoicism and the control of our minds to select our reaction, changing our encounters and intuitive for the superior. In our travel to get at the pith of responding over reacting, we dive into a domain where each thought and activity is ponder, reverberating the significant lessons of Stoicism. The Stoics, those venerable sages of antiquated Greece and Rome, held a sea of life that's astoundingly pertinent to our fast-paced present-day world. They instructed the esteem of acing one's feelings and reaction, emphasizing that genuine control lies in our capacity to select our reaction to any given circumstance. So why is it so crucial to develop a response instead of a knee-jerk reaction? Envision you're in a tense assembly or confronting an individual challenge. The default human behavior is frequently to react on impulses driven by the prompt surge of feelings. This reaction, in spite of the fact that common, is at times in our best intrigued within the long run. It can escalate clashes, harmed connections, and lead to choices we might afterward lament. Here's where impassive intelligence sparkles through. The Stoics accepted in living according to nature and reason, supporting for a life where each activity is guided by ethicalness and judicious thought. By grasping this reasoning, we learn to watch our starting motivation, look at them with a sound intellect, and select a course of activity that adjusts with our core values and long-term objectives. Reacting instead of responding implies taking a minute to pause when confronted with the activating occasion. It's almost venturing back to watch, not as it were the outside occasion, but to your inside reaction to it. This reflective pause permits you to consider different results and select one that's contemplated, adjusted, and most critically, beneath your control. In practicing this stolid approach, you're not smothering your feelings or imagining they do not exist. Instead, you're recognizing them, understanding their roots, and after that choosing on the off chance that and how they ought to impact your activities. This approach enables you to connect it with the world in a way that keeps up your internal peace and astuteness in any case of outside circumstances. But the significance of reacting over responding expands past individual peace. It impacts the quality of your connections, the adequacy of your leadership, and your strength within the confront of difficulty. Once you react astutely, you illustrate regard, understanding, and sympathy toward others' perspectives and encounters, cultivating more significant, invaluable intelligence. Setting out on a transformative travel to prepare the mind requires more than simple purposeful. It requires think and supported exertion, much just like the hones embraced by the Stoics. These antiquated rationalists offer immortal experiences that can stay our advanced approach to developing a responsive instead of responsive intellect. Firstly, let's dive into the control of self-awareness, a foundation of stolid reasoning. The Stoics emphasize the significance of reflection and understanding one's contemplations and inspirations. In our setting, this implies developing an intense mindfulness of our mental and enthusiastic states. When you're mindful of your considerations and sentiments, you're superior, prepared to oversee them successfully. This heightened self-awareness allows you to recognize the onset of passionate responses and gives the pivotal to begin with step in choosing a distinctive, more contemplated reaction. Following, we explore the hone of pausing, a straightforward, however significant technique. Marcus Aurelius, a stolid head, frequently talked of the space between jolt and response, the space where we have the control to select our activities. By cultivating the propensity of stopping, even for some seconds, we grant ourselves the opportunity to step back from our prompt motivations. This pause can be filled with a profound breath, a minute of reflection, or a brief meditation. It's in this space that we will counsel our internal stolid, inquiring ourselves what ideals calls for in this moment and what reaction adjusts with our most elevated self. Another urgent methodology is reframing our viewpoint, a method the Stoics utilize to preserve poise within the confront of misfortune. This includes deliberately choosing to see a circumstance from a diverse point, one that decreases its enthusiastic charge and uncovers alternative ways to lock in with it. For occasion, rather than seeing a challenging work circumstance as a risk, you might reframe it as an opportunity to develop and illustrate versatility. By changing our account, we move our passionate responses and open up unused conceivable outcomes for action. Additionally, the Stoics were advocates of centering on what able to control and letting go of what we cannot. In practicing this guideline, we learn to contribute our vitality admirably, responding effectively to our possessed contemplations and activities, whereas tolerating external events as they unfurl. This doesn't cruel being inactive or impassive, or maybe it's approximately recognizing where our control genuinely lies and choosing to act there with purposeful and judgment. At last, the hone of consistent reflection and alteration is key to preparing the intellect. The Stoics locked in day-by-day self-examination, surveying their activities and advance toward ideals. So also, we can conclusion our day by reflecting on our responses, celebrating our triumphs and choosing astute activities, and learning from the times we fell back into reactivity. This progressing prepare of self-assessment and change cultivates a responsive mentality and develops the intelligence and adjust that Stoicism so profoundly values. By joining these methodologies into our day-by-day lives, we not, as it were, honor the bequest of the Stoics, but moreover enable ourselves to live with more prominent reason, calm, and adequacy. Through tireless hone, we change our minds, directing them toward responses that reflect our most profound values and yearnings. Moreover, we can adopt the stolid hone of negative visualization, where we envision potential setbacks and challenges. This plans us rationally and sincerely for troubles, decreasing their effect when they happen. By mulling over these scenarios, we construct flexibility and develop an attitude that sees past quick distress to the potential for development and learning. At last, cultivating a strong community of like-minded people can significantly upgrade our travel. Sharing our encounters, challenges, and triumphs with others who are too committed to living a responsive and careful life makes an organize of support and responsibility. This community can give important experiences, criticism, and back, strengthening our endeavors to develop a Stoic-inspired mentality. As we coordinated these hones into our everyday lives, we set out on a transformative travel toward more prominent peace, versatility, and purposefully. By grasping the shrewdness of the Stoics and the control of mindfulness, we empower ourselves to explore life's complexities with beauty and composure, making a life of reason, adjust, and fulfillment. Mindfulness at its center is approximately developing a deep mindfulness of the display minute. It's almost watching our contemplations, feelings, and sensations without judgment, permitting us to pick up bits of knowledge into their nature and impact. By practicing mindfulness, we adjust with the impassive endeavor to live with mindfulness and purposeful, tying down ourselves immovably within the now, the only time when we really have the control to act. One viable way to develop mindfulness is through centered attention works out, such as breath reflection. By basically watching our breath, taking note each breathe in and breathe out, we create the capacity to preserve consideration and return it to our point of center when it wanders. This practice isn't almost about unwinding, it's a preparing ground for the intellect, upgrading our capacity to concentrate and stay show in the midst of life's diversions and challenges. Another key hone is careful perception, which can be connected to any day-by-day action, turning it into an opportunity for mindfulness. Whether you're eating, strolling, or performing unremarkable assignments, you'll be able to hone being completely locked in with the movement, watching each viewpoint with interest and openness. This not as it were improves the involvement itself, but moreover fortifies your capacity to stay centered and responsive in different circumstances. Body filter, contemplation is another effective mindfulness method that cultivates body mindfulness and nearness. By mindfully checking through diverse parts of the body, we not, as it were, develop a more noteworthy association with our physical selves, but moreover learn to recognize and discharge put away pressures and feelings. This hone echoes the stolid reflection on the nature of substantial encounters and the significance of not permitting them to excessive impact our sound minds. Consolidating mindfulness into our intelligence with others can too change our connections and communication. By being fully present with others, tuning in mindfully and watching without judgment, we cultivate more profound understanding and association. This practice aligns with the impassive esteem of sympathy and the acknowledgement that others as well are judicious creatures exploring their possessed challenges and encounters. By grasping these mindfulness hones, we walk a way tread by the Stoics, one that leads to more noteworthy clarity, tranquility, and adequacy in our activities. As we develop a careful nearness, we equip ourselves with the devices to reply to life's unavoidable challenges with beauty, wisdom, and composure, exemplifying the most excellent of what it implies to live a Stoic-inspired life. Presently, let's move our center toward the practical application of our recently discovered mindfulness and stolid experiences, pointing to develop a way of life that harmonizes our internal world with the outside substances we explore day by day. The Stoics were aces of serenity, understanding that life is loaded with challenges and unforeseen turns. By grasping the concept of amor fati, or cherish of destiny, they instructed us to not, as it were, acknowledge, but to grasp anything life tosses our way. This acknowledgement isn't approximately acquiescence. It's about recognizing the inalienable esteem and potential development in each encounter. By practicing this attitude, we move from standing up to alter and trouble to effectively locks in with it, looking for the lessons and openings it offers. To apply this in our daily lives, we are able to begin by setting clear eagerly for how we need to reply to distinctive circumstances. This includes a mental practice of potential scenarios, visualizing ourselves taking care of them with calm and composed soundness. By doing so, we make mental pathways that can direct us in real-life circumstances, making it less demanding to select astute responses over responsive ones. Another common-sense apparatus is journaling, a hone profoundly established in impassive convention. By routinely composing down our considerations, feelings, and reflections, we make a space for self-examination and development. Journaling permits us to process our encounters, pick up clarity on our responses, and distinguish designs which will require alteration. It's a capable way to develop self-awareness and deliberately in our activities. Joining everyday impassive readings and reflections can too strengthen our commitment to living a responsive life. Locks in with impassive writings and contemplating their lessons makes a difference us internalize these standards, making them more available in our day-by-day intelligence. This practice keeps the intelligence of the Stoics new in our mind, directing our choices and responses all through the day.